So there's basically two flavors of Thunder Dragon decks. There's the ones that are more based on the Thunder Dragon cards themselves. They use, Thunder Dragon Titan as their main boss monster, that sort of thing. And you'll often see stuff like Titan Double Colossus when you play in under the regular TCG format.
Yeah.
Of course, only single Colossus here. And the other one is kind of the Crusadia, Thunder Dragon, Baby Chaos Dragon, Guard Dragon, all that combo stuff. The 37 special summon plus 3 Sekis-like deck.
Yeah. And we've actually seen the big combo heavy style versions of this deck being the most successful in the TCG regions. Even though the Thunder Dragon deck is still incredibly strong core, it seems people just seem more drawn to these big combos. But I'm not so sure if that's going to be the case after the tints come out. I believe some of you may have caught some of the reveals going on, but we'll discuss that maybe a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. Just keep a count on how many summons actually happen.
Yeah, if it's more than 5, then you know something bad is going to happen.
Especially if Dakota gets to go first here.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the hands to load in.
And time has begun. Dakota does have a bunch of special summons there, and he starts with Crusadia Reclusia. Trades that in for Crusadia Magius. And he's got a couple special summons in there. He's got Defrag Dragon.
That's 2. And Effect Veiler coming down.
Alright, it's going to keep the second Crusadia away. And he's at 3 summons. Let's take a look now, seeing where can I go from here? It's a little rough.
Yeah, and Herman still has the Ash Blossom in hand as well as a second follow-up interruption.
It seems in the end phase we've got Thunder Dragon Dark to search another.
Yeah, just to thin the deck out a little bit as well.
Yep, don't want to draw that second.
Yeah. And he's now got a Light in the Dark in the graveyard, should he be playing that line of monsters.
Yeah, like Dragon Duo or BLS.
Yes. And Herman actually has the Aloof Lupine in his hand.
Yeah, I saw there was a lot of hype for Aloof Lupine when it first released in Savage Strike on how it was going to replace Gold Sarcophagus. I wouldn't exactly say that it replaced it, but it is still pretty good here, especially when you could banish Dragon Dark with it.
Yeah, it's we saw Joshua Smith playing it earlier. Unfortunately, Joshua Smith wasn't able to make much happen in those games that he played, but the Aloof Lupine was generally pretty impressive, actually.
I had a version of the Grenmaju deck built where you use it to banish fiends, like extra Gorzes and Battle Phasers and that sort of thing to get Grenmaju.
Grenmaju, that card is dirty, I'm not gonna lie. I remember it's like a Pot of Desires and you just suddenly, hey, 4,000 attack normal summon.
Yep.
Like, that seems pretty good.
So yeah, it's not as good as it seems for Grenmaju at least, because you still have to have a way to get it back from being banished.
That's true.
But in this case, because the Thunder Dragons get their effects when they're banished, he gets a special summon of Thunder Dragon Dark from his deck with Roar, and he gets a search for Hawk, which is it's actually limited under this list, Thunder Dragon Hawk.
Yeah, so being able to access it whenever you need to is very, very powerful. And here comes Colossus, number 1.
And you can see it's been way more than 5 summons, for example, in this particular board.
Yeah, we're going to see some attacks coming through.
Yeah, Lupine into here.
This is going to be quite difficult to play into. Depending on how many Thunder Dragon monsters Herman has in his hand, we know at the very least he has 1 Thunder Dragon Dark, I believe.
He's gone through all the darks at this point. He summoned the 3rd one from the deck with Roar.
Right, yeah. Okay. I can only see 2 right now on the field, and I'm like, Oh yeah, well if there's 2 there, he can activate the 3rd. Okay.
Alright, and yeah, not a whole lot that Dakota can do on this one.
Yeah, and
it's going to go ahead and pick it up.
See, so I was just thinking that's the most crazy XE summon I'm ever seeing, with 2 monsters with levels don't match. They're just being slightly overlaid.
Sometimes you don't even need a level, it's fine.
Yeah, that's what the blue frames are for. That was a very commanding victory for Herman. He just put the negates down and just set up a counter field, and then that was that. And Dakota making the most of thinking, yeah, I'll just save some time on the clock and play my next 2 games as best I can.
That's the thing. It's one of the advantages to playing the regular Thunder Dragon deck as opposed to 37 special summons, is you get to play things like the Effect Veiler and Infinite Impermanence that you just don't have room for, or in the case of permanence can't even play because you're running Seconds Light.
Yeah, and that's the disadvantage you have, right, is that if your opponent just gets the combo, you can't play. You don't have any interaction whatsoever. Your opponent gets to go free, and then you're trying to break through with 37 special summons. Sometimes it works, but if you can't really get to anything, not a good place to be.
Side decking wise, I think you want the, this is a lot of times when you'll see the Psy-Frame gears come in, the Gammas and the like.
Yeah, now that you've got a bit of an understanding of what you're up against. But still, it's kind of really hard to side deck with this, right? Because 3 Seconds Light, that'd be a big shake-up. You can't really take the 3 Seconds Light out of your deck.
No, and you won't. You'll just replace, you'll shave off some combo pieces that you maybe don't need doubles of, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I wonder what Herman's going to be coming in with in this. Playing against Crusadia, probably think about some sort of restriction on special summons, anything that just sort of slows them down. Yeah, it's been a really, really long day for these guys. Actually, shorter than a YCS. That's always the thing, but it's just so much more intense with the level of competition.
It's like you're playing 3 matches per match.
Yeah, it's like really mentally draining. So you've got to stay massively on top of your form if you're gonna be competing at Worlds.
And we got an update on the records of these duelists. They both have 3 wins. So the winner will definitely be in with 4. The loser will need a prayer. So it is a win and in. But the loser is not entirely out. It does depend on draws, mainly.
Right.
3 wins and a draw will beat just 3 wins.
Yeah, so you ideally just want to win this game then, because
yes.
then you're in.
Yes, don't have to worry about it, don't need the extra stress.
And then we got one more round today, I believe, which will be the top 8, and then the top 4 play tomorrow. And then, I don't know, it's like, how do you feel? Like, if you get knocked out day 1, is that worse than getting knocked out in day 2?
You know, Robbie, who's a previous World Championship committer, has a lot of opinions on that. He would rather just get knocked out on day 1, rather than feel like he's got a shot on day 2 and then just lose in the first round.
Yeah, the Curse of Anubis, as it's called, where you top the Swiss and then get knocked out immediately in the top 8, or... Yeah, you make it through, you make all the preparations, you go to bed early, you research your opponents, you go back to the stream, you check everything, and then you still lose. That's rough. That's rough. And we're going to be loading in right now with our hands. Herman opening with lots of interaction, and he's going second. He's got the Ghost Ogre and the Infinite Impermanence. Whereas Dakota has a lot going on for him right now. He has drawn the Seconds Light. Along with Thunder Dragon, he's going to be able to get a whole bunch of action into play.
That gold sarcophagus, if Herman can get to his turn intact.
I think on the stream, one of the games he lost a legendary duelist. Gold Sarcophagus is a super interesting card. It's kind of gone up and down for a limited list over the years, depending on what else has sort of come out. It was at free for the longest time, and then we had the Dragon Rulers come out, and then it was a case of like, all right, yeah, but you need to bring this back down, and then it's sort of flown back up.
We've got Seconds Light using both of its effects here. One is a draw 2, but you're locked out of all other spells and traps for the entirety of the duel. And second lets you banish it to put a monster back in your deck, draw a card.
Yeah, it's a super interesting type of card. It completely changes deck building. Kind of like that grass looks greener. That was another really interesting card that was just very difficult to resolve.
So in this case, you returned 1 Thunder Dragon to the deck, so you could then search it out with the other one. And doing it that way, you get 2 lights in the graveyard.
Yep, and now we're going to be seeing our first Crusadia link summon.
Is Arborea. And here's a card that I'm kind of shocked never really saw a whole lot of play. It's the Ascendant of Thunder.
That's pay 3,000 life point special summon thing, right?
Yep, and it's notable for not starting a chain.
Right, so yeah, it makes it very hard for your opponent to actually... Well, your opponent can't actually respond to it.
Pretty much. It also gives you some life points back if it's destroyed, I believe. It special summons it to where Magius is pointing. That gets another Crusadia.
Yeah, I really like the artwork of Magus, actually. It looks really cool for like a magician-y type character.
It is. It reminds me of kind of like Explosive, or not Explosive Magician, Blast Magician.
Blast Magician was really cool.
The spell counter guy. Makes Cypherine Lord Lambda, it looks like. Special summons Draco to where it's pointing to and adds a Crusadia back. Haven't special summoned Arborea yet, so she goes to the other link point, and Draco becomes an LP. The other two become Triple Burst Dragon, and LP is activated. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit destroys it. No longer a zone where two things are pointing to. So it is... well, it resolves without effect. And then it was destroyed, so Omni Dragon Brotar can be summoned, and now that's going to be negated by infinite permanence.
That is a lot of commitment from Dakota.
And it's a little rough because he's got, he can just make Pisty, I believe, with Brotar.
Yeah, he can, but he's not going to be putting it in the best position if he does that.
No. Yeah, Brotar is banished in this case, since it was summoned through its own effect.
That's a 2 Materia Sayuja, this Skull Dread.
Not the greatest, but Levianeer is pretty good.
Yeah, that actually puts Herman down to just 2 cards when he starts his turn.
Yeah, no, he banished Darks and Lights.
So, it does nothing. Because he's got no cards on the field to destroy.
And that means, well, he doesn't have to activate the effect, and he probably won't, just in case you play a second Levianeer.
Yeah. And now we've got the Pisty and the Sayuja.
It's one of the things, maybe you use the impermanence on the LP instead of destroying it outright.
Yep, and we're going to see the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. I know you were partial to the Red Dragon cards for a while, and you built the America deck.
Yeah, the America deck, where you use Hot Red Dragon stuff, Blue Eyes White Dragon stuff, all in the same deck. So yeah, it's like Red Eyes, Hot Red Dragon stuff, and Red Eyes Black Dragon.
That actually worked pretty well from what I remember.
It did. That was a cool deck. It used all of the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend series from High Speed Riders.
Yeah, I really liked the card that set actually. Like the Red Resonator was a card that I really liked. It was just because it was very simple and it was very effective at what it did.
You know, it could come back. It could make a comeback in Fire Fist when Fist of the Gadgets comes out. Now this right here, in a few weeks, you will be able to just make it stop existing.
Yeah, this kind of field.
So there's nothing on here that can negate a monster effect. So, you know, once the tins do come out, if you happen to have Nibiru the Primal Being, you can just get rid of all of that. Say you get a token, and I get a Blue Eyes Powered Rock.
Yep, and then you just, from there it's quite easy to outplay a token. A token doesn't do anything.
Generally, it's going to be big though. It'll have the combined attack and combined defense of the monsters attributed to summon it. It's a big number. And you can just use removal. It's a lot easier to get rid of a token than a Hot Red Dragon and a Colossus.
Yeah, I mean, you can just think about putting the token below one of the extra monster zones and then use, oh, what's his name? It's one of the magicians. It returns the cards it points to back to their owner's hand.
Akashic Magician?
Akashic Magician, that's the one. I remember things, I remember the images and I remember what they do way more than I ever remember the names, unfortunately.
This is an interesting play, using Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres to bounce back his own Levianeer to the hand, and then get the effect to summon Eclipse Wyvern from the deck.
Yeah, so he can set himself up really strong for the next turn.
Another thing that you will not be able to do in the regular TCG, given that Eclipse Wyvern is forbidden.
Yes, that card is kind of a relic where not having a hard once per turn and having such a huge catalogue of targets has kind of made it a little bit, well, I say a little bit, it made it very unfair at this point. And we're going to see Sekko's Light coming down again.
That's his second one. He had it by the end of the last turn. And now we see another baby Chaos Dragon. Both of them limited. Eclipse Wyvern just gone in the regular format. So players are really getting their money's worth out of these Black Dragon Collapse Serpents and Wyvern Bursters in this event.
Yeah, one last hurrah for them. At least on the TCG side.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think
Sky
that's...
Light and 2 Darks.
Yep, and then the Eclipse Wyvern effect to return the Leveneer.
He's going to summon a second one as well. It's another Light and 2 Darks.
Did Leveneer see play when it very first came out, or is it one it sort of took a while?
I was shocked that it wasn't instantaneously everywhere, but neither were the Dangers.
That's
For that matter. It took a while for Nessie and Jackalope to catch on. Actually, it took until Tsuchinoko came out before, and a little while after that.
And then it started to become this big fuel for these combo decks, and then that's when they took off. But yeah, they all the danger cards look very, very good from the outgo, to be honest. Especially Nessie. Nessie was just crazy.
Nessie was very strong. Tsuchinoko also has that nice level 3, so you can use it for a lot of the crazier things like, well, MX Saber Invoker I don't think made it that far.
No, although that card had a very good run.
It's never shown up in anything that's remotely fair.
Yeah, it's not a card you play in fair decks, absolutely. Alright, so
has it ever been played in X Sabers? I don't recall it ever being used in an X Saber deck.
I think so.
Yeah?
Hold on. No, I was thinking back to 2011. That was before Xyz monsters were really a thing. We just had Utopia. I was like, hold on, X Sabers. They were at the WCQ. And no, that was before MX Saber. So I actually think you're right. I don't think it's ever been played in anything fair. There's a couple of Xyz monsters like that, like Laval Chain.
Yes.
It's like, you're not playing this in Lavals, really. And it just shows up doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Augusto Emerald was one of those for a while, but he just made it back.
Yeah, I think we've kind of gotten to that point now where it's probably not as bad. It's not putting back a bunch of Zodiac monsters that are then just going through your entire extra deck every
right,
one
over and over again. And then getting fused into Norden. Yikes.
Norden. Oh, that guy was he had a short-lived run, I want to say.
His buddy Azathoth was causing some trouble this year.
Azathoth,
just
yes.
a little bit.
Rank up, the Phantom Knight's rank up magic, allowing you to take this ridiculously powerful effect and apply it during your opponent's turn.
Yep, when you're not supposed to be able to.
It's like, that one seems pretty good. I think it was like, was it Utopic Sexel was one that took a while before I started playing it. It was just like, summon Utopia, discard a rank up magic, your opponent can't play cards, essentially.
Yeah, some of those Zexal manga cards are pretty strong.
Yeah, sometimes pretty surprising what flies under the radar.
For a while there was, you remember the Ignites, just the normal pendulum monsters?
Yeah.
There was, in theory, a combo deck that could put out Zexal on the first turn 98% of the time or something like that. But that was literally all it did, and any form of interaction made it lose immediately.
Oh, yeah, so it was enough to keep it out of competitive play, essentially. Huh.
Our duelists have made their choices for the third and final duel of the match.
Yeah, I imagine Herman is probably going to choose to go first in this situation.
Yeah, we can stop all that searching.
Yeah, shut it all down. And Dakota's just making a couple of last minute changes.
Making sure he still has 15. That would be, that's the kind of mistake you don't want to make at the very end of round 5, is, submitting a 17 card side deck or something like that because you forgot to put 2 cards back in.
Yeah, and then you end up in that awkward situation of getting a game loss, which would be just absolutely backbreaking at this point. I remember there was a technique and they called it smoke screening, which is where you shuffled your whole side deck in and then you just
Yep.
took 15 cards out so your opponent had no idea.
I was talking about that with Marcello earlier today.
Yeah, you were.
Yep.
That kind of sort of fizzled out, right? I don't really see players
It's
doing it
a
anymore.
lot of effort for very little gain.
It's just part of those tiny little mind games that you're trying to play.
It's just the gain on that is so small that I don't think it's really worth the effort anymore.
Yeah.
Especially when time really matters, and you can't just play lackadaisically and then get 5 more turns at the end of the match, which
Yeah.
you used to be able to do in the old days.
Yeah, now things have really tightened up on that. Your time is just such a massive consideration. That's a monster heavy hand, but if you're going first...
Monster heavy is kind of the order of the day with a lot of these decks, because most of these special summon effects are monsters.
Yeah, that's true.
You know which card I haven't seen that I don't know why they don't use it?
Say Jinzo. It's obviously not Jinzo.
No, it's not Jinzo, it's Gallus.
Oh, Gallus.
Gallus the Star Beast.
Star Beast.
If you have a 37 monster deck, the chance of flipping a spell with that is so minuscule that it's practically free.
Tom Rose actually played that in his Burning Abyss deck not too long ago that he won UK Nationals with, and that kind of, then we started seeing that popping up all over Europe. But that was really cool. That's kind of been a card that's always sort of floated around in these Monster Mash style decks.
Mm-hmm.
But that is interesting that we're at the 37 monster point and we're just not seeing, but I guess because it's not a light or a dark.
It's true, it's Earth. Oh, and it looks like he's got the double here. He's got both Effect Veiler and Gamma. So he's able to negate both the Aloof Lupine and the Thunder Dragon Dark. But Irvin's got the Dragon Hawk, able to bring back Dragon Dark and tribute that off for Colossus.
And yeah, that's put him in a pretty difficult position, but he does still at least keep the Colossus to slow Dakota down.
One draw could change this though. Arborea, Levianeer, Dragon Roar gets you absolutely nothing. But one card could change that in an instant. And he passes.
Just hard passes.
He's got Phantasmate. That's the new card. Double Phantasmate with an Effect Veiler. That's not a bad board position when you're dealing, what, 46 a turn? 28 and 18?
Yeah, because this forces Dakota to actually he has to do something this turn.
He's got Hawk, Roar, that's nothing. Is that a
And
baby?
White Wyvern Dragon Burster.
Oh, Collapse Serpent would work. Arborea will not. He sets a card face down. He's got a block. Block off that damage. Thunder Dragon Matrix.
That's some
Here's the
action.
new draw. He's got to be thinking, is there a way to get this done right now? I don't know that there is. Takes out Arborea, gets 18 more in. Now he just has to make it through one more turn without Dakota coming up with anything.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a big ask for Dakota to pass 3 turns in a row.
He picks up the Ascended to Thunder, which he can't play. He's below 3,000.
Oh no, just 1 turn too
He
late.
can't pay.
Oh, that is really unfortunate, and there's a
Can't pay.
handshake.
He has to pass back.
And